Now here, instead of developing the knight or bishop, Fischer directly goes for queen to e2 targeting the a5 pawn. Now black can simply defend this with the knight, but instead black goes for f6, which ruins the kingside pawn structure. Now it's better for white to just capture this e5 pawn, but instead Fischer goes for c4, preparing for c5, but this is of no use because black simply captured the d4 pawn. And that's a mistake by black, because first of all this bishop blocks the root of this dark square bishop, as well as it also stops the move c5, which is very important for black. And the most important, now Fischer goes for bishop to a3, and suppose if black tries to attack the queen by rook to e8, white will simply play queen to f3, targeting to play queen to d5, and if to stop this check, black suppose played c6. Now white can actually sacrifice his knight by knight takes c6. This is because after takes, the idea is not to capture this c6 pawn, it is actually to play rook at f goes to d1. Here white wants to capture this knight, taking benefit of this pinned bishop. And here black cannot play queen to c7. This is because now white will simply takes on c6 first, threatening to capture this rook, and after suppose bishop to b7, bishop to d5 check, king to h8. Now white will exchange the queen, bishop takes c5, bishop takes c5, and after c takes d5, clearly you can see that white has an advanced d pawn, and this position is completely winning for white. But in the actual game, after bishop to e3, instead of playing this move which is rook to e8, here black goes for Instead of capturing on c6, in this position white must consider this move rook to d6, threatening to capture on c6. And suppose if bishop to e8, now comes bishop takes c6, bishop takes c6, rook takes c6, and if queen to b7, simply rook to d6, and clearly you can see that white is in a good position. Okay, so in the actual game, after bishop takes c6, and here obviously black can't capture this rook due to bishop to d5 check, and then black has to lose his queen. And suppose if he grabs the rook, then after takes, rook takes d6, and finally bishop takes a8, and yeah, white is better. So that's why in the actual game, after rook to d6, here black decides to bring his another rook to e8, and here Fischer decides to give up his queen for two rooks. Instead of rook to e7, here white must consider start pushing his pawns. Now everything was fine till here, but in this position black blunders by playing a5. This is because now white will play rook to e8 check, and after king moves to h7, now comes h4, covering this g5 square for so that this king can't go through it. And suppose if black tries to just attack this pawn, then simply h5, and clearly you can see that in the next move, white will simply bring his rook to b8 and threatening to mate on h8. And clearly you can see that this position is completely winning for white. But yeah, so that's why instead of a5, in this position, queen to d5 might be the better option for black, which attacks this rook. And if suppose white gives a check from his another rook, and after king to h7, you can see that now white can't play this move because this rook is attacked by this queen. So that's why white will firstly try to bring his rook to b8, threatening to mate, but black will simply give a check from d1 square. And after king moves, you can see that black will give multiple checks to white, and clearly this position is completely equal for both. But in the actual game, after the move a5, here Bobby also missed this move, which is rook to e8 check, and instead he blunders by playing h4 directly. Yeah, so basically this h4 directly will not work because of the move queen to a4 by black, which which keeps an eye towards this e8 square so that this rook can't enter. But he also missed this move queen to e8 a8, and he played a4. And in this position, black resigned because you can see that now no one can protect this mate. Yeah, so now let's move on to our next interesting game. Now it's better for black to just bring his knight to g4, targeting this e5 square as well as opening the dark square diagonal for this bishop. But instead, black decides to capture on e5, which is an inaccuracy. This is because after takes, now you can see that white has a very strong knight which is also targeting this bishop. Now it's better for black to just bring his another rook into the game, but instead he goes for queen to e6, which is not a good move because now Fischer instantly pushed d5, directly targeting towards this queen. Instead of knight to e5, rook to b8 might be the better option for black, directly targeting towards this b2 pawn. Now I just want you all to pause the video and try to find the winning move for white. And if you find the move queen to g4, then congratulations, you are a genius. This is because suppose if black exchanges the rook, now you can see that in the next move white will bring his queen to h5, threatening to play queen to h7 mate, and which cannot be stopped by black. But in the actual game, after the move king to h8, Bobby missed this move and instead he goes for rook to f1. Now in this position, black must consider the move which is rook to g8, trying to exchange this poisonous rook, but instead black blunders by capturing on b2. This is because now Fischer instantly brings his queen to g4. And yeah, you can also play queen to c7 with the same idea of rook takes h7 mate, and then queen to g7. But rook to g8, he blundered. But now in this position, the final blow by Fischer is rook takes h7, and in this position, black resigned. This is because after takes, simply you can see that queen to h5 will be a checkmate. This is your host Bison signing off. Bye bye.